Hello, everybody. Welcome. Happy Tuesday. I'm going to pop this up here and I'm going to audibly tell you it as well. No politics or election talk. You can encourage, the voting is over, so there's no encouraging people to vote. Please keep it out of the chat. That is all we ask. If you do not, you will be warned. And after you are warned, you will be permanently kicked out of the chat. So please keep that in mind. And that is a rule here always, not just on election night. No politics, no religion. We can talk reselling without that. So after that disclaimer, welcome. Thank you all for being here. If you're here and have that on the background, then George is the vintage king. I'm going to agree with that. So It is a safe space. No judgment, because there's no talk to judge. That makes it really, really easy. I am Kat, the nurse flipper. If you do not know, Rod is celebrating his wife's birthday, so that is why he's not here tonight. So George graciously agreed to join us, and I didn't know he's joining us from Tijuana, Mexico. George is all over the place, and I'm going to go fly in the morning and go join him. Not really. I am tempted. Below me is Scot Chachingking, which all of you should know. I saw Scott. Are you getting close to 70,000? I think I saw.
I don't know.
Or 80. You're up there.
I
mean, 60, not like 67.
67,000.
Yeah, so Scott's getting close to 70,000. Caddy corner, wrong caddy corner, that caddy corner, is Sam and Adam from Jolie Flips. And they are in South Florida here. And then George, the antique nomad, you should all know as well. Everybody on here has been on here before. So I'm going to make everybody big, let them introduce themselves. And then we have 15 questions already. So if you have questions, please get them in early if you want to make sure that they're answered live. And yeah, so here is Scott. I don't know what he's going to say. I never know, but here he is.
Scott doesn't know what he's going to say. I'm Scott. I have a YouTube channel, the Chachingking and Chachingking on Instagram. And if you haven't been to my channel, pretty much I teach new resellers how to use the eBay platform. And hopefully it's a little bit motivational as well. So
perfect. All right, here's Sam and Adam.
Hi, I'm Samantha, and this is my husband, Adam. We've been resellers of vintage and vintage lovers. Well, vintage lovers forever. Vintage resellers for about 5 years. We are YouTubers also. We are close to 12,000 subscribers in a little over a year. We are also on TikTok, same name, Jolie Flips Vintage, Instagram, and Facebook. We have a group on Facebook called the Jolie Flips Thrifter Society, and we're big time sellers on knickknacks and then other platforms.
Perfect. Here's George.
Hey everybody, I'm George the Antique Nomad, and I've got the Antique Nomad Live, and the Antique Nomad Shorts on YouTube. And I am currently visiting friends in Tijuana, and they are being really nice and quiet in the background behind me after I've invaded and taken over their space. So that's really kind of them, but we are here having fun, and I mainly talk about antiques and vintage, although I do sell on eBay, so I have a little bit of insight on that as well.
Perfect. All right. Wolf Fans Goodies, starting off with a $5 super chat, said, how do you put your oldest eBay items on sale on the laptop?
So if you're using the eBay platform, like on the browser, you start your sale by going to the marketing tab and create a sale event. And then where it shows how long your stuff has been listed, click that button and it will immediately organize it from oldest to the newest, and then tag away for however many you want to list or put on sale.
Yes. Anything else to add? Anybody? I was going to say, so I did this live on my live earlier today, and because I end and sell similar, that method does not work for me and it's a mess. So everybody sat there and listened to me talk for like over an hour because I was having to go through and click, because I put it in the custom SKU when it was listed, and I literally have to go through and click on what I want because I was doing a sale on items a year or older, but I run the sale for 2 weeks because I used to tell everybody not to do longer than 3 days, but because it takes me hours to manually print them, I let the sale run for 2 weeks, and then I'll use it for a second month as well. And then I'll do it new again in like 2 more months, because some of those items will sell. I'll have listed and sold similar. They have different item numbers. And yes, so I answered questions while I was clicking away. I wanted to get to 2,000 and I made it to like 1,580 by the time I had to leave to get Dalton. I ran out of time. So yeah, I'll like, sometimes I get lucky and the whole 200 on the page will be, you know, all older ones, but most of the time it's like half and half, and then I have to check and uncheck and blah, 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 blah. But, okay, what are we doing? We're doing a whale. Oh, Gino made me a new drinking super chat, but I haven't downloaded it. So I'll debut the drinking super chat next week unless somebody's dying to see it. I don't know. Dennis started that. Freaking Flipper, it's his fault. They have a podcast where they drink and talk about reselling, and somehow it got to every time we showed Kevin's butt, people were taking shots, and Scott doesn't drink. So, you know, I'm like, let's make a drinking super chat. All right. Anyways, I'm going to give you the whale. Scott's going to drink his Mountain Dew. Here we go. The puppy buddy is in bed. I showed the puppy buddy earlier. So if you watch the list perfectly live from earlier, the puppy buddy is on that because he was in the shed with me. But he is going to bed. We are trying to get him on a schedule is what we were trying to do. He is very rowdy. He bites Brooke's hair and will not let go and does the whole with her hair. And he bites Dalton's school shirts, and he's just very, very rambunctious. So he's going to be fun as he gets bigger. Yeah. He is a golden retriever. For those of you that don't know, we already have 1 golden retriever. Now we have 2 of them. And yeah. And we have 3 other dogs. Now we have 5. I was like 4 dogs, 5 dogs. Like what, you're already over a dog limit, right? So what's another dog? Miss Elena from Treasure Diva Thrifts, which is one of my thrifting buddies, said, how can I tell where my international orders ship to? I do mostly all eBay transactions from my iPhone.
You know, it's a little bit hard once because you don't really have any control over it. I wouldn't know. On the computer, I can track it down, but I'm not sure on the phone if you even can.
Yeah, I don't
think you can.
No, there's not smarter people anywhere. We don't know either. I don't know. Like, I have a hard time even figuring it out on the computer, honestly. I just know it's going eBay International. I think at one point, like when the initial order shows up, you can see, and then it like goes into eBay land and never to be seen again. So if you don't see it at the initial, I don't know.
And so many people now, they're just having you ship to a place in the States and then they're drop shipping it internationally themselves. So I don't even know how you can track that.
Yeah, I don't know. All right. Renee says, when I list an item on eBay, where can we privately notate the item location in our inventory?
In the SKU. If you're listing on your computer, it's now up near the top. On the phone, it's kind of at the bottom of your item specifics. But the SKU, the buyer can't see that at all. So you could literally put anything there that you want.
Yeah, you can put what you paid for it. You can put where you bought it. They don't see anything that you put in there at all. All right. Has anyone had glitches with offers disappearing on eBay the last couple of days? We have accepted offers and they disappear.
Oh, wow.
So my last video, that's what it covers. And I think, at least for me, I know what caused it. So I accept an offer, and then I would go into list perfectly because if it's cross-posted, I would take it off. And then it would be gone. And what was happening is eBay is requiring, it's leaving the item active until it's paid for it. And so when you go into list perfectly,
I agree with.
I agree with it totally, except that if you don't know that, it goes and takes the active offer down and cancels your sale. And so maybe that's what's happening to you. That's what was happening to me. And it's funny, I made the video and then there's a ton of people like, this is such a bad idea. And it's like, I just teach eBay. I didn't make this up.
Make the rules.
Everybody would pay if it was up to me.
Yeah, I think that's what's going on, and I think we just need to. But I'm okay with that. Because if they make that offer and they never pay, somebody else could buy it, and whoever pays first should get it. That's just how it should be. All right. Do those of you who sell vintage or antique items tonight, I think that is all of us, find that you get a lot of heartfelt private messages from your buyers? Any good stories? I've replaced a few of Grandpa's knives for people now.
I think that's like my favorite part of our job is the ability to connect with people that you would otherwise never meet, never know anything about. A few years ago, it's not a good video because I wasn't very good at making it, but I put like my 20 favorite sales, and every single one of them were things that I didn't make money on. But recently I sold one of the carrier hats. I'm sure you've seen them, like USS Constitution, something like that. And they didn't say anything when they bought it, but their dad, who was like 97, served on it, and they gave him the hat for his birthday. And so, I've had those notes, and that's just fantastic.
Yeah, we get a lot of that through private messages, but also because Knickknacks is live, kind of like Whatnot. And they'll say, oh, well, that reminds me of my dad, or that will remind me of something else. Or because we don't have a reviews yet on Knickknacks, people will, once they get the item, they'll message us just to reassure us that they received the item. And with that reassurance comes the thank you so much. This, it's some kind of heartfelt message. So I really love the personal thing that we have with vintage selling. So I agree with Scott about that. That's my favorite part. That's our favorite part, isn't it? Yeah, that's great.
It really is. Yeah, that's honestly why I think I emphasize the antique and vintage the most, is because it just, commodity stuff and things people use all the time are great and useful, and you can make a good living doing it. But the passion and the connection and the nostalgia and all of that is just such a wonderful thing. And I had one recently where I had a Chieftain an ashtray made at the University of Illinois Ceramic Department. I bought it in Portland, Oregon. Mentioned it in a video when I bought it, and somebody in California said, oh, I need to have that. My father studied there, and we've never seen a piece and never had a piece, and they're really hard to find. And so this thing that I bought, that I was thinking when I bought it, this is so obscure, is anyone going to want this? Had real meaning to somebody in another place, both far away from where the place was made in the first place. The piece was made in the first place. So and there's lots of stories like that. I think it's my favorite part, like you said, about dealing with antique and vintage and the people who are into it, is that there's passion and stories and there's reasons behind what they buy. It's more than just a thing to them.
Yeah, I haven't gotten a ton of them. I have gotten a few. I've had like the actual maker's grandchildren buy things, which I think is cool. They're like, oh, my grandmother or my grandfather made this with like art or vintage sculpture pieces, and that's cool. But I haven't gotten a ton of them. I did have somebody with my Mitake pieces, and I have his pictures. I think it was his granddaughter. She sent me pictures of him in his pottery studio and said, please feel free to use these in your listings with his pieces, which I thought was really cool. She wasn't buying any of it, but she thought it was cool. Because I bought 80 pieces, which I think when I bought them, there were only like 40 of his pieces on eBay. So I had double by myself than collectively what was listed. And so they were like old 4x6 photos of him at his art studio and making like one on the potter's wheel, which was really cool. And so I did incorporate those into a lot of my Mitake pieces and put them into the listing because she said she was giving me permission to. And that I thought was super, super cool to see like pictures of him with the art that I have now. And I think they thanked me for increasing the value, because I had noticed on WorthPoint that the value used to be really high, and it had, over the years went down, and I had enough that I could price them high and hold them. I only needed to sell a few to be in the profit, and I have done that. And I think that is cool to be able to be, when you buy enough of something, you can change the market. If you have the majority of the market, you are the market, So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. All right. Sober Reseller says, in what ways do you think your past careers helped you be successful in this new one? That is a really, really great question that I don't think we've had before.
I think I've been watching Kat's show for 4 years. I don't think I've ever seen that question. In my past career, before I retired, I started as an elementary school teacher and was a principal, and the last 12 years as a school superintendent. And honestly, a lot of what we do, it's talking to people, and it's my job is very much the same. I'm still trying to communicate with people, because I also do a lot of vintage. I'm selling a story. I'm selling a history. I'm selling something more than just a hat. And so I think that ability to communicate with people, it helps me on eBay. I think it helps me on YouTube. So I think the communication aspect of my old job is still critically important to everything I do. I get better sourcing opportunities because of it, for sure.
Yeah, I think I'm a nurse just like Kat is. And I think the last time I was on the show, I was a full-time RN, and she swore to me that I could do this for a living. And she said, I bet you can. And I was like, no, I'll never leave nursing. Do you remember this, Kat?
I do.
I said, I'll never leave it because I make so much money as a nurse, because I was in the back end corporate of a kidney company, and I was using my master's degree. So to do that, and I thought there's no way I'm going to be able to do this as a reseller. And then it just kind of started skyrocketing. And I always remember Kat telling me this, that you're never going to, I was like, I'm never going to stop. And she's like, I bet you can make this a living. And yeah, I think being a nurse really helps, because I liked the empathy part of being a nurse. And I thought I could never do that if I was a reseller, but turns out you can. Turns out it's actually the same thing. You're just you're selling it, right? You're selling something. So I would say I feel like I've taken all of that experience, like the one-on-one with patients. I brought it to the one-on-one with selling vintage, if you know what I mean.
I worked in e-commerce for almost 20 years, around 20 years. I helped my father build an e-commerce business starting in the late 90s, early 2000s. So when my wife had the idea to start her e-commerce business, I was very proud of her, and I thought this is something she can definitely do. And I brought some of the experience that I had. Of course, a lot has changed since then, since my last experience with that. But I took more of a supporting role with that, and I'm proud to have a supporting role here. And
he's a great packer.
I packed a lot of boxes in my day. So, but I also point her in the right direction if she has any questions about packing or materials or supplies, things like that. And she's really, picked it up like lightning fast, and she's a natural. So very proud of her.
For me, I've been in this business pretty much my whole adult life and my career, but I think that the thing that really ended up applying for this was that we started an antique mall in Oregon. We already had other antique malls. And so we had all these dealers moving in and all this brand new staff. And I thought, what are we going to do? All of our other malls have all these people who've worked for years and taught me a lot of what I know. How are we going to deal with this with all these new people? And so we came up with the idea of doing the 50 most requested collectibles. And when the staff came to work the first day, the dealers were moving their stuff in, and we went around the mall and I had to show and tell every single thing. Well, this is this, and this is that, and this is that. And so when I started the YouTube channel, I was like, oh, that's kind of the same thing. Let's do that. Because I was, a lot of people were doing like, I'm at the thrift store and I bought this and I'm going to make a bunch of money. And that's what the channel was about. And I was like, well, what can I do that's different? And I thought, oh, let's let it be about teaching people what they're seeing and helping them understand it more. And it was because of that prior experience with helping the employees learn how to do this that I was like, oh, that's going to be what I'll do with the channel. And it's turned out to be really great. And I wasn't sure. I thought people would think, oh, maybe it's boring and wonkish and nerdy and I could read that in a book. But it turns out, no, people really want to know what's behind it. And so that's ended up being really valuable experience. And I'm really glad it worked out that way.
Yeah, so like Sam said, I was a nurse. I also, before nursing, was a professional photographer, which definitely comes in handy when you're photographing things. I photograph babies, not stuff, for a living for 8 years. Stuff is a lot easier because it doesn't move and I don't have to try and make it smile. So the photography part definitely comes in handy. That's what I did before nursing. As far as nursing, my nursing doesn't necessarily, I don't feel my nursing comes into like the actual reselling part, but it comes into the YouTube part. So one of my favorite thing about nursing was the educating the patients on like what they needed to do and help them. And that is what I do on my YouTube. And also educating new nurses. I was a mentor to them. I was a preceptor, so I did a lot of training. And that's kind of the same thing I'm trying to do here with you guys, is try and teach you and help you become better. And I hear so many stories of people that I have helped. And that's why I do this. You know, like people tell me like they were gonna, you know, go for disability and couldn't afford to pay their bills. And now they're going on vacations after watching and picking up. And now they're doing reselling. And it really, like, reselling can be a life changer for anybody. I really feel like anybody can do it. Like the startup is very, very small. You can start small and just keep building and building and building. That's what I did. And so, and you can even do free stuff, especially depending on where you live, your neighbors and your house. And it can turn your life from being a struggle into, you know, having money to take vacations and pay your bills and not be struggling. And I think one of the biggest things is that, like, the work that you put in, most times, as long as you're doing what you should be, is going to directly reflect what you're making. You know, the more you work, typically the more you should make, as long as you are, you know, paying attention. And you do have to kind of study, so to speak, what's selling, know what's, you know, worth picking up, what's not. But I love teaching. I really, like, I love teaching. So that's like my big thing, especially with YouTube. Like I said, not so much the photography part helped with the reselling, but the nursing is definitely, I think most nurses, like, we're teachers. We have to teach people how to take care of themselves, you know, and how to make themselves better. And I feel like doing what I'm doing is doing the same thing, but in a different capacity. And I still get like that feeling of being able to help people, you know, that I obviously am not getting. Brooke laughed at me. I got my email tonight that I need to start doing my CEUs to renew my nursing license, which I do keep active, by the way. I do not let it lapse. But I'm like, oh, yay. I get to do it. Every 2 years, I got to do my CEUs, which it was a lot easier when I was in the field doing it. So it's a little bit different when you're not, especially now. I've been out for almost 3 years. So
just like riding a bike.
I haven't nursed at all since my last renewal.
Just like riding a bike.
I mean, a lot of it's click, click, click. You guys don't want to hear that, but that's what it is.
But the bike is on fire. The ground is on fire.
All right. This is a good question. I don't think we've really had either. Wendy wants to know, do you pack items differently in the fall and winter? I keep finding great new items with the original box, and I keep envisioning them sitting on a porch in the snow and rain all day.
I think weather impacts how I pack, because in Texas in the summer, you know, if it's 105 and it's going to be 105 for the next 7 or 8 years, I can't sell candles, or I would never ship any chocolate. And I pay attention when I'm shipping somewhere where it's raining. I'll usually use a Ziploc, something like that, to try and keep things dry. So I don't know that winter impacts me directly, but summer sure does, like big time.
Well, like Scott said, candles right now is the time to buy candles from us. Vintage candles. That's what we would sell right now. My buyers, especially on knickknacks, they know that I use priority. My shipping is always a little higher than a lot of other resellers, but there's a method to my madness. Their priority boxes are not only free for me, but they're very strong. And I've sold close to 3,000 items, and I've never had a single one break except for one, which was not my fault at all. And so
It wasn't my fault either.
No, it was actually, it could have been my fault because I don't know,
No.
something about it was a tree canister, and maybe if I put more paper or something, but it just proves that I think the supplies you use too really matters all year round. So I use priority boxes mostly, unless you're buying from a state where it's going to be very expensive to ship, or like we have a buyer from Australia, and I will use sometimes priority, or sometimes I'll get big boxes because she orders a lot. So it just depends, what I'm shipping. I ship a lot of glass, so we use priority boxes for that, and I think that holds up with any weather. It's pretty good. They're strong boxes.
I see a lot of really good comments in the chat, by the way, so hopefully everyone's reading those too. But I definitely have learned, if it is paper, if it is linen, if it's something that's going to soak water, just assume that you need to wrap it, put it in a Ziploc, wrap it in something, seal it in some way, because I have had things that were sent to me. I wrote a book, and I send out the treasure craft book to people when they order it. And I sent one to somebody, and it went to Florida, and they threw it in a puddle in front of his house, and it was completely ruined. So then we got to send another one. But the other thing for you who are buying things, maybe the most important thing to know is, especially if it is really cold outside, or even just on the cool side, as exciting as it is to get your package, if it's been sitting outside all day, bring it in. Or if you are a reseller and you're bringing in a box from a shed, bring it into the house, let it warm up to room temperature before you start opening and unwrapping things. Just that little bit of a temperature change can be enough for things to break just when you unwrap them. So give them time to be the same temperature as your house before you unpack. I know it's hard when you just got something really cool that you ordered, but you can wait just that little bit longer.
So for me, it's really hard to answer this. And I think this is really location specific. Like, it's hard for me to picture something sitting on a porch in the snow, because I've seen snow like 3 times in my life. So, I mean, it really is, like, it's hard for me to like even think like I'm out here, it's like 85 degrees and people are snowed in, so for us, we don't do anything differently. We do tend to put a lot of stuff that is, when I say perishable, I mean like cardboard, like George was saying, his book, right? So if we shipped a book, we would probably double poly it so that water couldn't get into it. We had a Louis Vuitton box get wet and get ruined. So now if we have a poly bag big enough for the designer boxes, they go into that before they go into another box. So I think for us, the big thing is double polying. Hi, Dalton Dean. Dalton and Brooke are saying hello. They're going to bed.
Hi, Dalton. Brooke. Hi.
Dalton, do you remember Sam and Adam? We at Renninger's, we shared an Airbnb with Sam and Adam. So they were me and Dalton's roommate for a few days, and we had breakfast with them, hung out with them.
I might see you in a couple of days if you're free.
Oh, yeah. Sam's supposed to come visit us. Yeah. So that'll be exciting. Yeah. So be good for your sister and go to sleep. My flipping banker sent a $4.99 super chat and is asking, do you enjoy live selling? I'm enjoying the quick sales on Whatnot and am slower to static post on eBay and other platforms. Which do you prefer?
So I don't sell live. I normally, if I end up with excess stock, I give it away to new sellers. And so I don't think I want to sell live. So
is it our turn?
That's the end of my answer.
Oh,
the end.
Well, we sell on every platform. I'm getting better at eBay now. It's just that we sell mostly on knickknacks. which is live. It's Crazy Lamp Ladies platform, Jocelyn. I was selling on Whatnot, and for many reasons, I am no longer selling on Whatnot. But I'm selling pretty rapidly on knickknacks to the point where it's keeping me too busy to really list on other places. So to answer your question, I'm really happy selling live. And when people see me shopping at thrift stores and stuff, and they're resellers too, they ask me like, "You're here all the time." You know, they'll say, "Are you flipping things frequently?" and all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah. And they're just like, how though? I'm so stagnant on so many platforms. And I said, I think a good way to I don't like saying get rid of, but pass on your items to beautiful people is live selling. And if you can muster the courage to do it, you know, some people are shy. I'm not shy. I've never had a shy bone in my body. I don't even know what it feels like.
I do.
He does. But, you know, I think that's the future. I mean, I sell through my YouTube channel also, so that's not technically live though, is it? They're looking at my videos and sending me emails, and I send them a PayPal and I send them the item. So the only platform is live. So to answer your question, I think live is the future, and it is so amazing to do it. And I would urge you to encourage you to apply to knickknacks, as it is a wonderful platform to sell on.
Yeah, it seems like it's doing really well. And I really enjoy live selling, but I think what Sam said is exactly the answer for you. If you really love it and you enjoy being live and you feel comfortable in front of the camera and you have a good setup and your lighting's good and everything's right for it, it can be a great way to sell. On the other hand, some things sell better on eBay, some things get more money. It depends on the item. It also depends on your temperament. If you are not really comfortable doing it live, there's no reason you have to, because eBay is still a great selling platform for certain things. And so I think it's as much up to individual. I see my flipping banker is saying she's really enjoying it, as she likes the speed, and she's slower to do the static posts. I do a combination of both, and both suit me for certain things at certain times. And, you know, sometimes it's what mood I'm in too. You know, sometimes it's like, yeah, doing a live sale sounds great. And sometimes it's like, you know what, I'd rather just put it out there and let people find it and discover it that way. So, you know, there's no right answer, but like Sam says, if you think that you could go live and would enjoy it, there's a lot of interesting and fun platforms to go on. And it's interesting, she also said that she's not doing Whatnot anymore. I'm hearing that from a few people. It seems to work really well for some people in some categories. I didn't really have a great experience with it when I tried it, but that was a long time ago. But there's just so many other ways. I know it's old fashioned, but I like just selling on YouTube live because, you know, there you go. And you just do it when you want to, and you have total control of it. So it just depends what suits you.
Yeah, so for me, I haven't been live selling for over 6 months. The majority of the year, I've not been doing live sales. So for me, we've been doing more static posting. And the reason for that is I was mainly selling jewelry on Whatnot. The category got saturated. My sales went down. I was losing money. And it just didn't make business sense for me to do it anymore. So I would say right now I prefer static. And you're hearing all these different, you know, Sam's mainly doing live. You're going to hear different opinions. And I think it really depends on you and your personality and what you're selling. We're going to try and get back into live selling. I'm hoping as soon as this week. Probably I'm going to hit knickknacks along with Sam. And I might do a couple of Whatnots as well and just see. I know everybody's been asking me. We did a lot on Whatnot in 2022 and 2023. And then the bottom kind of dropped out on us. And I'm following the money. And the money was not on Whatnot. I did well on knickknacks, and then I just had so much going on. You can only do so many things in a day. And for me, I was making more on eBay at that point. I'm going to give you a super chat, and then I will read you another one. What am I giving you? Here's the original, this original one. Super chat.
Oh, they're cute.
That's the original. That one's been around for over 4 years. That one's old. All right. Lisa said, I only sell on eBay using eBay labels. My question, when mailing perfume, there is one that's a hazmat that can click to be included on the label, but I'm not sure which one to pick. Does anyone have a clue?
I don't have any idea at all.
I'm sorry, I can't answer that because I don't sell any liquid or food items.
I do sell perfume, and I guess I'm a bad person because I don't put a hazmat on it. I just make sure I seal that. Talk about putting things in multiple layers of bags in case there's a leak or a problem. I want to make sure that nobody thinks that there's liquid in the thing and that it is going to get there and not spill and not make a mess and not be a problem. So I just make sure of that. And I'm sure I'm probably doing something wrong by not putting a label on, but I've never done it.
George.
So the big thing with it is just that it needs to go ground. You don't have to put a hazmat. I'm sorry, I'm like multitasking here, but that I don't ever do hazmat for perfume.
I feel better. I was like, man, I've never put hazmat on that stuff.
No, I don't think you need hazmat on perfume.
Good.
Karen said, I want to change from auto posture to list perfectly. How to do it? I have all my items on eBay and then Posh and Depop. I know, Scott, I know you use list perfectly as well. I don't know if you want to talk about it or I can talk about it either way.
It doesn't matter. I mean, you just transfer them over. It's fairly self-explanatory in my opinion. But
yeah, so what you'll want to do is take them from one of those platforms, either eBay, Posh, or Depop, whichever one has all of the listings. So if they're all on eBay, do that, and you're going to copy them into your List Perfectly catalog. And then what you're going to do is make sure that you turn on the link tool in the app, and you are going to go to Posh and Depop, and you're going to link each listing. It is very tedious in the beginning, but then if you're starting on List Perfectly, which is what I recommend, then you put it out to all those platforms and it's automatically linked and you don't have to click the button. I showed that on my live earlier too, because I end and sold similar and I was relinking them to List Perfectly. So that's how you make sure the auto delist works. If it's not linked, it doesn't know to take them down. So you can look through, and I can actually, hold on. I can show you guys real quick just what I'm talking about. So if you see here where it says copied, that means that it's in the List Perfectly catalog, and you're not going to find one on mine that's not, because I went through all of them earlier, but it would say link here if it wasn't. And actually I can show you on Mercari, because I guarantee you I end and sell similar on Mercari. So if you look at Mercari, oh, share this tab instead. Okay, here. So these are ones I just reposted on Mercari. You see where it says link? All I have to do is click link, and then it pops up with the listing and I link it. And now if it sells, it will be ended properly. So these are just, I do like 10 to 20 a day on Mercari, and my employee actually comes and does this. So I'm doing what she normally does. But that way they're linked. So yours would look like that, and you would just have to link all of your items and then they're linked. And I didn't know about that feature forever, and stuff wasn't linked. And if you're wondering why your auto delist doesn't work, if you're ending and selling similar, that's why, because you have to link it back to List Perfectly, if that makes sense. I think, did we have another super chat? I feel like we did. We did.
I'm sorry.
Titchy Farm Treasures said, I started cross-posting to Mercari. Is there a concern shipping USPS Ground Advantage and not being backed by Mercari's shipping guarantee due to cost?
I don't sell on Mercari, but I actually have an opinion about this. Keep in mind, it's coming from a place I've never used Mercari. But to me, what you're talking about is the difference is, shipping priority versus Ground Advantage, and there's a cost difference there. And that cost difference is basically insurance to make sure that Mercari covers you. And it's very, very, very expensive insurance, because not that many packages have something go wrong if you're packaging them right. So for me, if I were doing that, I'm shipping Ground Advantage on most things and self-insuring if something went wrong.
I mean, I sell on Mercari, but I don't cross. I'm starting to use Vendu, but I don't know how to insert it. Sorry. I rarely sell on Mercari. Once in a while I'll make a sale on it.
Yeah, I don't sell on Mercari either, but it seems to me that what Scott said is the right answer from what I know about it. And I haven't really been having a lot of trouble with ground advantage, so it hasn't really come up in general.
So for me, I mostly use UPS. Ground advantage is the cheapest option on Mercari. And that's the one that I use because I do mostly stuff that's a pound and heavier. So the ground advantage tends to be cheaper if it's under a pound, and most of my stuff is over a pound. So that's why I use that. And then let me give you, what am I going to give you? Rod's not here. What are we going to, oh, we'll do the kitty cat. We got a new kitty cat super chat if you guys missed it last week.
I like that one.
We had 2 guests in a row. Last week and the week before, they both had cats who kept walking across the screen and putting their butt in front of it. And so we told Gino we needed a kitty cat super chat for that.
Oh, and I guess we should say hello and welcome to Ellen McDonald, who is a new member.
Yeah, a new member. This is my favorite out of all of them. This is my favorite. And if you guys didn't notice, I got color added to my sleeve. That is 4 hours of work right there. And it hurts like it's all swollen right now. But the main pieces on this are my sea turtles. Which I love. There's that one and there's that one. And so here, my member super chat is sea turtles. Here you go. I absolutely adore sea turtles. Titchy Farm Treasures also, she's saying she wants to learn how to sell live, but do you think without a YouTube following, is it harder?
I don't sell live, so I don't know.
It's a good question. I see an uptick in sales as my subscriber count grows. Because they watch, Jocelyn and I are very similar in our tastes and how we thrift. So a lot of them follow Jocelyn and then they discover us through knickknacks and then they come to subscribe. So it's a big loop. So I would say that having a YouTube channel has helped. And this might sound really bad, but if I were to start all over again, I don't know that I would have had a YouTube channel because of all the work I've put in and how much work I'm doing now, because it's really consuming my life. So if you have time, like I don't have kids.
We'll do that.
Yeah. I don't have kids. I don't have pets. I have a dad who helps me live in this house for free. I've got a husband who's really, really helpful. We don't have a lot of bills with just our cell phone and stuff. So we have time and you know what I mean? You have to, I don't know, it's individual. So I think all of that combined made it easier for us to do live selling, and having a YouTube channel. I would have to agree that it does help you, you know, but maybe you can go, if you don't want to do YouTube, you can go live on Instagram or do TikTok, you know, social media is everything.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's so many different options. And I would say that you don't have to have a YouTube channel or really any social media to sell live. There's platforms you can sell live on right now today and just start. You will do better if you have a following, because you can direct people and show them the stuff and preview and build excitement. And so it's not a bad thing to do at all, but it shouldn't keep you. It might be harder, but it shouldn't keep you from doing it if that's what you want to do. I mean, there is Whatnot. You can just jump right in pretty much as soon as you're approved. It's a little more selective about getting picked to be on knickknacks. Or some of the other platforms that exist on District, which is where knickknacks is. But they tend to also have a clientele already. So if you have the kind of things that they already are selling, then that might be a place for you to go. So there's lots of things you can do that doesn't require you to develop your own social media presence to be successful, but it certainly doesn't help. And if you have the time, and like Sam said, yeah, YouTube is, doing video on demand and stuff like that. It takes time, it's you have to be dedicated to it, but you will build. And so, that is definitely a thing you can do, but it's not the only way to be successful being a live seller.
So I would like to point out here that a YouTube following does not necessitate buyers, and that is extremely applicable in my case, because my following are resellers. My following are not buyers. They are not collectors. They are resellers, which means my people that watch me want it. They want it cheap, which is how I ended up losing money. I do have some collectors, but I would say 90% of my following are resellers. And I think Scott, if Scott was doing live, would be the same way, because he's teaching like I'm doing. So when I have my second channel, it's a lot smaller. When you have a following that's following you for shopping and following you for, collections, that is where you would build a following of buyers. But your audience, you could have, I have a really big audience, and it helped me in the beginning of Whatnot, but that kind of faded out. And I did not have very many people in my Whatnots at all, because of the fact that I'm not my point of selling on Whatnot was not to sell to resellers, which means it was not to sell to my audience, and my audience might, sometimes, they want a Christmas present or a birthday present or a Mother's Day present. But Jocelyn is doing the shopping video, so she's got collectors that are watching her. George, I'm sure, has a lot of collectors that are watching him to learn about the different things, where I'm educating resellers primarily. So for me, my followers don't necessitate live sales. They really, truly do not. It does help, but I saw numerous people that were extremely successful on Whatnot that have no following at all. If you have good merchandise, you bring consistent, good, high quality stuff, people know. And Sam can tell you, all you need is one good buyer that wants to buy. You learn, oh, so-and-so likes foxes. So when Sam's out shopping, Sam's going to see a fox and be like, oh, I'm going to get this fox, because I know that Beth is going to buy this fox.
We have a rooster lady.
You learn your buyers, and so you start shopping for those buyers. So if you build up regular buyers, I don't think you need a following for that. I think the most important thing, and I could have all the following I want, and if I bring crap, they're not going to keep coming back. I don't care who it is, right? I have to have good stuff. So I think the stuff and your personality are probably the top two things on live selling. You want to get to know the people. You want to be able to talk to them. You want to build a rapport with them. You want them to trust you, because you're selling them things, right? They need to know that Sam's going to package it, and they didn't just spend $100 on a piece of glass that's going to arrive in newspaper in pieces, and that's something that takes time, no matter who you are. I use too much bubble wrap, and people know, if you need bubble wrap, just buy something for me and you're going to get a whole box of it for free. So yeah, so I way overuse bubble wrap. American Bubble Boy loves me.
Yeah.
They love us. They love us. Thank you. We use them because of you.
LaDonna, so I will tell you guys, and I've never publicly said this, and I'm not drinking tonight, but I'm going to say it. If you are a member, I will skip to your question occasionally. That is one of the perks of being a member. So if I have 30 questions and there's a member one way down, I'm going to grab it. That's just one of the perks. They get responses first. Same with emails and stuff like that. That is one of the members' perks. So that is why I grabbed this one. But yeah, so another benefit of that. And we have a super chat. Same concept. Same concept. So Squirrely Reseller says, thank you for all your time tonight. Do you all put thank you notes or stickers or anything else inside your packages? Kat, please show your new puppy. He is going to bed. I said that earlier. If you watch the live from earlier, though, you will see the puppy. I promise.
I put stickers. I've got them hanging I put a towel bar up, and I have all my stickers lined up on there. I put a thank you sticker in most things. So, yep.
I personally do not. I'm extremely cost effective. My followers who buy from me knows I absolutely love them to death. And you just want your package. I don't want them to, it's gonna, in my opinion, when I get things like that, it just goes in the trash. So I know it's probably maybe gonna happen to my stuff. So I don't do that.
I honestly, I usually just, oh, sorry.
Go ahead, George.
I honestly, I put in a business card with a handwritten thank you on it because I want people to know that I'm acknowledging that, you know, they're the reason that I get to do this. But that's about it. I don't go crazy with a lot of other stuff because, you know, honestly, I find, again, with the antique and vintage buyer, they want the thing they bought. They really could care less if you put stickers in a box. They really don't care. It's just not their thing. So I keep it simple, one little thing so that they know, and also to remind them where they got the piece because, you know, they might be ordering from 5 different sellers. So it is nice to kind of reinforce your brand that way.
Yeah, so for me, I do not. I'm with Sam. Like that stuff to me, I love you guys, but if you write it to me, now letters I read, but like the thank you notes, they're getting tossed. I did have thank you stickers. I think I do. We're trying to remember them. And we have little, like I got cute little bookmarks. I bought like a case of them on an auction for the point of giving it to my customers. Yeah, but I could have that and I'd still forget it. It could be like right here and I'd be like packaging the box like this and, you know. We have cards advertising my YouTube. We're also trying to put those in as well. We're trying to get more. Shannon's been helping, like you can see, try and get more organized in here where we have like more systematic, you know, where it's, you know, a little more functional than being like kind of hectic and crazy. I used to make thank you stickers with my label printer, like little cute ones, but it's time consuming and I love it and I love doing it. But if you're sending out 20, 30, 40, 50 packages in a day, that's a lot of time, and time is money, is kind of the bottom line for me. So throwing a card in is okay, but handwriting something is probably not going to happen. I used to do it for my subscribers, but I don't pack anymore except for every other Monday for live shipping. My employee does. So it wouldn't be like a thank you from Kat. It would be a thank you from Prissy, which I don't think is what my subscribers want. She might have a lot of fans. I don't know, but I would assume they wouldn't appreciate that as much as they did, you know, if I was writing it. So yeah, so it does not happen here. And what are we going to give you? This one. Dun, 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 dun. That's one of the older ones. That's the first one Gino made for me. I don't know if anybody in the chat can help her. I don't know that any of us on the panel can either, but I thought I would put it up in case somebody in the chat can. Audra said she's on eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari. She sold items on Posh and eBay, but nothing on Mercari, but it won't let her list over 100 items until she sells something. So does anybody have any ideas? Like, I would want to know first if you have already listed the 100 items, because that would, I think, help you a little more.
I'm getting the impression that's what she's saying. And to be honest, if that is the case, and there's not some other reason for it, drop one of the items in price to some impossible thing that you don't care, something you got for nothing, and just sell one. And then that'll take care of it.
Yeah, you could lower it. Also, Shannon saying have a friend or family member buy something from you if they're really wanting only to see one sale. If you haven't, you could also delete some and put up stuff that you know is high sell through or very popular on Mercari. That's what I would recommend for those of you that haven't listed the 100 is put stuff up that's popular. You know, not stuff that's going to take longer to sell. That way you can get it. Thrifted Spirit saying you have to sell 10. So you really, if you guys are in that situation, make sure you're putting up your more popular stuff to Mercari first so that you can get allowed to do more.
Well, and one other thing I would say, if I put 100 items on a platform and I haven't sold any, I'd be really seriously thinking about whether that was a good platform for me anyway.
Right.
I've kind of been like that with Etsy though, because I think I'm at a couple hundred and I'm only getting like one sale a month. But I haven't been listing consistently on there. And actually, I forgot again today. I need to remember when I'm doing it, like, oh, this would be good for Etsy. Like I had a nice vintage raku piece today that I put up on eBay, Poshmark, Mercari that really was very appropriate for Etsy. And I'm not in the habit of doing it. So I'm not listing there regular. So I don't know if I can expect regular, even though I have 200 up there. I haven't, I get like one sale a month. And I had completely stopped Etsy. And then I kind of picked and choosed, and we're just not seeing the sales. And I don't want to put a ton of ad money into it. That's my thing. I don't mind promoting, but I don't know. And I'm keywording, I'm hashtagging, I'm doing all the stuff, and I'm just not seeing the Etsy sales. All right. Kate says, an international customer is saying my item is broken. Jewelry chain came apart in transit, an easy fix. What would you say to them, and wouldn't eBay take care of it because it's international?
Yeah, if it went through eBay international shipping, then what they need to do is request a return. And then at that point, eBay takes over and they'll handle whatever refund or anything else there's going to be, because once it leaves that hub, you have absolutely zero input or control over what happens to it. So I would tell them, here's what you need to do. Here's how you request it. And then eBay will step in and take responsibility for it.
Exactly what Scott said.
Yeah. eBay will ultimately take care of it, is kind of the bottom line there. All right. Oh, what happened to the question? Where did it go? George, I didn't read you the question, and did I get rid of it?
Oh, that's okay. I got what it was. A few people have been asking me where I'm going to be, and I'll talk about that at the end. So you have to stay tuned to the end.
Kendra says, I'm heading to Florida this January, the Orlando area. Can you recommend some interesting places for resellers, flea markets, etc.?
I cannot. I've never been to Florida.
I can. About 30 minutes away from Orlando is Mount Dora. Mount Dora is, go downtown. There's chock full of antique places to visit. There's my favorite place called Treasure Mart, which is an antique mall, but it has a lot of thrift store prices, also a lot of discounts there. You can flip easily if you really stay there for a while, flip items easily. November now, probably this weekend, January and February, Renninger's, which is a huge antique place. They have, George, is it like 2,000 vendors every day?
Yeah, usually between 1,000 and 1,500 in January, and even more in November and February. And that's the third weekend of the month.
Yeah, so I mean, Orlando itself, honestly, there's a Goodwill there that's huge, but they put tons of things in baggies because it's like the big one if you hear about it, and everything breaks and everything is overpriced there. So I can't recommend a good thrifting there, but I could recommend good sourcing in the Mount Dora area, which is not too far away.
Absolutely, yeah. Mount Dora is the place to be there. There's a little town called Umatilla that has a vendor/antique mall. There's the place that you talked about. Actually, there's 2 Treasure Marts, I think, and a couple of antique malls. And so you'll see everything from thrift store prices to, you can find a bargain, even though a place maybe is more retail. I still find lots of stuff in the antique malls that I can flip. The vendor malls will have stuff that isn't just antiques for those of you who are general resellers. And there's also, there's some stuff in the surrounding areas, and lots of estate sales. Definitely go to estatesales.net and check out the estate sales in that area when you're there on a weekend, because there's a lot of older people who live in the villages, which is not far behind. There's always sales there. So there's a lot of options in that area, definitely. The thrifting, you're right, it's generally not super great in Florida. A lot of the thrift stores in Florida, there's exceptions, especially like church thrifts and the little independent thrifts, usually you can find stuff. But a lot of the chain thrifts there are really like dollar stores now. They don't even have anything old or interesting. It's all like leftovers from Target and Ross, priced higher than they were when they were at Target and Ross.
Right. Sam, what was the name of that thrift store that was in the same shopping plaza as Treasure Mart that we went to? Remember that the owner was the one checking us out?
Orphan Rocks.
Yeah, that was a really, really good one. He made deals with us at the cash register, the owner did, and like we got stuff cheaper. That was a really, really good one. That again is in Mount Dora. Renninger's flea market is open all the time, not just for the events. And like George and I went over there and both of us found some good stuff just at the flea market when we were there. I just sold a $400 Native American painting a couple months ago that it did take a long time. George and I found it like years. It's been like 2 years, I think, when we found it. Yeah, there's good stuff there all the time. So even if you're not there during an event, it's definitely a good place to go.
Can I?
Serenity, Sam Pants is her thrifting sister. She wants to know if she can have the eagle.
Oh, yeah, she have the eagle.
I put your turtle is now inside in my grandmother's china cabinet.
What
Sam.
Eagle is she? Oh, you did. I am bringing you a couple of raccoon pieces, Kat. That's for you.
You got to see this new raccoon I got. Oh, look, Brooke brought the puppy. Everybody requested the puppy. Brooke brought him. Here is Buddy.
Oh, Buddy. I saw your picture on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
He says, "What are you doing to me?" He's very tired. He's very cute. Look, this is what he does. He's a baby. He just sleeps. He's either sleeping or biting your face. There's like no in between. Right now, it's a sleepy puppy.
Both is equally adorable.
No, Brooke doesn't think so when he bites her hair. All right. that is Buddy. All right. Let me give you something. Dun, da, da, da.
You have an
Let's
eagle?
do. I don't have an eagle. She's talking to you, I think.
I don't know what eagle we're talking about, Barbara.
I don't have an eagle. All right, I'm going to give her a super chat. You figure out what eagle. Yes, his name is Buddy. His name is Buddy. I have an eagle.
You do?
I mean, I probably have everything.
Oh, Gino made an eagle, she says.
Gino made an eagle.
Oh, let me
A
see.
physical eagle, it's...
Oh, this one. Here. Okay, here you go. I have so many super chats, I don't remember them.
That was good.
There is the eagle. I forgot. We haven't played the friggin' eagle. There's the eagle. It even says eagle as the title. You know, what can I do? What can I do? All right. Ari wants to know, do we run a Black Friday sale? And if we do, what % do we do off?
I run a sale a lot. I run short sales. So it's not so much that I'm running it for Black Friday, but I run sales all the time. And normally they're between 15 and 25%, depending upon how broke I am.
Oh, I have one scheduled right now in Knickknacks. And it's more of like a clearance thing. So I'll start little things off at $5, $8, $12, depending what it is.
I like that concept. That makes sense to me. I will say, truthfully, I have never understood giving discounts on the busiest shopping weekend of the year, the one time everybody feels like they need to be out there shopping. Why are you doing a discount? It's the one time people are going to buy stuff because they just feel like they need to get that thing, and everybody is out there and looking. So it's a personal bias, but I generally don't run sales on Black Friday weekend because I figure you can have the sale, especially with antique and vintage, because usually the week after is the slow week of December in the antique and vintage. And to me, that's when I would run a sale.
Yeah, I typically have, but I also was running sales all the time. So I'm not sure this year if I'm going to. If I do and do it store wide, I might do like 10%, maybe 15 for like 2 days or something. Well, if I did it, I take that back. I would probably do it like Thursday before Black Friday through Tuesday because of Cyber Monday. So I'd probably run it 4 days if I did that. So I'll have to think on it. I honestly haven't thought. I can't even believe the holidays are like this year is like flown by. And my birthday's the day before Thanksgiving. Oh. Yay. You get older, the birthdays aren't as fun anymore. Passionately Collected said, what are your thoughts on the new product safety regulation that goes into effect? It requires additional information you have to provide when selling to Europe and North Ireland.
So, I've looked at that, and I think as long as I'm shipping through eBay, I don't think there's going to be a lot that I have to provide with that unless I've missed something, which is entirely possible because I haven't worried about it specifically. So maybe they know something I don't.
I don't know. I don't even know. Is this for eBay?
Yeah, I mean, I think it really probably is technically for anywhere if there are laws and regulations.
Man, I am a law breaker.
Don't say that on recorded video, Sam. I got to teach you some things.
I'm just saying, I'm usually the last one to find out there's some kind of regulation, and I do the whole thing. I plead the fifth. I don't know.
I'm kind of that way too. I think it is an EU rule. The European Union is making certain things have to be, it's a different level of thing. And the thing is that I don't know what there is to think about it. It just is. eBay will tell you what it is. If you're selling there and your product runs afoul of that or has to be described in some way because of that, they're going to lead you through just like they do with all the additional, when they added all the product requirements for certain categories, last year or the year before, whenever it was, they'll tell you. I mean, I don't think you're going to get into trouble or not know something you're supposed to know. They'll let you know.
Yeah, I just do what eBay tells me, and that's it. I don't worry about anything else. I'll leave my answer at that. George, do you want to tell them where is Custer's Christmas show and what is it?
Oh, okay. I've had a couple of questions, and Red Cardinal, I'll tell you too.
I know.
I'm not going to be doing Renegers. This will be the first time I've missed November in years.
That's why I'm not going, because George won't be there.
No, I'm taking a break. My friend who does Christmas is going to take the booth and do a double booth of it.
Susan is?
Yeah, but I'm going to do... I'll be back there in the winter shows, and Custer's is a Christmas, more of like a craft and new Christmas show. So I don't sell at that one either. That one's in Spokane, but it's supposed to be a great show if you like Christmas shows. It's just that it's about new things, and I don't really sell new things, and I don't specialize in Christmas. So it's not really for me. I'm going to mainly just be selling on eBay over the holidays and doing YouTube, and that's about it.
All right, let's see what else we got here. Does anyone on the panel have any experience teaching? If so, could you share your tips? And if no one has direct experience, what general advice would you offer based on your experience on eBay? Rose, if you are still here, I would like to know what kind of keychains. If you are still here.
Question, because I've sold a boatload of keychains. We bought out at an auction one time. Melody and I bought from Rosen Systems. We bought thousands of keychains that were leather key fobs, but there wasn't a special thing. We weren't embossing them or anything like that. So I feel like if somebody's doing something special like names or something, ours were the same as selling any other little trinkety kind of thing. I don't have a tip or a trick, just package it. I don't know, just they must have something special that they're thinking about with the keychains.
It says no one has direct experience. A general advice would you offer based on? I mean, I just sell like antique keychains sometimes, or like old keychains, vintage, like groovy ones. Sometimes they have smiley faces on them, but I just send them. I don't know. I just send them.
We like some of them. They're light.
They're light.
They're easy to pack. So we're happy to sell keychains when we have them.
I sell anything that sells.
Yeah.
That's a general rule around here. If somebody will buy it, we'll sell it. If it's legal.
If it's legal.
I really do just a few in their vintage. And, the reason only a few is because mostly they're not worth very much. And if you're going to spend the time, you either, if they're cheap, then you're probably going to want to sell in bulk to get enough money to be worth bothering with. But they are easy to ship. And if they're vintage and old and cool, they can sell for a little bit of money. And they're usually cheap to buy. And so it's not that it's not a legit thing to do. It's just, most keychains that I see sell for $5 and less. And I don't really mess around with listing things for $5 and less anymore because there's just so many other options.
Yeah, so for me, I bought a bunch of crab stuff, and I made thousands on it because I ended up having Christian Dior in there and Nettie Rosenstein, and I made a lot of money, but there were also crab keychains in there. And my advice as far as keychains is I would list them individually if they were worth $15 or more. And if they were not, then I would lot them up. So that is what I would tell you on keychains, but I looked up every one because it's weird. Some of these souvenir keychains from popular destinations could be worth that 15 and sometimes more. So there are going to be some that are worth money, and they are super easy to ship. They are super easy to ship. You can just put them in a padded poly mailer and really, really easy to ship. I wanted to Marcia put up the link to my second channel. I'm only 28 subscribers away from 13,000 on my second channel. Wow. So I would love to hit 13,000 on my second channel. This channel, we're about 400 away from 110,000. So we're close to 110 on here. All right, Mark has showed up. He has showed up late. He always wants Rod. So even though Rod is not here, I'm still going to give Rod to Mark. Here you go.
Thank you guys for watching. Please make sure you like and subscribe. Until next time.
Oh, I did decide in 2 weeks there will be octopus tentacles on my hand. I have decided, I have picked the one I want, and I'm doing it. So to those of you who did not want me to have a hand tattoo, I'm sorry, but I am doing it. That is all. Okay. That is all. Let's see. If you're already getting covered, what's a hand? That's my theory. Valerie says, if you were challenged to buy an item now that you suspect will be a hot seller in the near future, what would that item be?
So typically what I would do is try to back up and pick something from about 20 years ago that was a popular enough item that there were a lot of kids that wanted it, and now they're a little bit older. They have a little bit of discretionary income. So I'm going to go with something from, if I found something from Dexter's Laboratory, I would probably put that up and save it for. It's a good question.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think glass, antique glass. It doesn't get enough credit, but I see more and more people buying elegant glass, like pink glass, amber. I see that's coming back. Swung vases took a nosedive this year for me, and I haven't actually sold any when I used to sell a lot of them, but I'm saving them and I still thrift them because I know some people are going to want swung glasses again. So I think glass, contemporary is up right now. Contemporary glass, like Murano and Swedish and Polish glass, things like that. Czech glass.
I would say studio pottery that is signed by people who you can actually verify and have some background on. Because a lot of people are into studio pottery for the look, but now there's starting to be more scholarship. There's some really good sites that are starting to really chronicle who the potters were. Also, a little birdie told me to look for glass orbs, and I won't say who that is, but I'm going to. The other thing, I saw Rugrat stuff sell recently, which is sort of similar era to Dexter's Laboratory. So I think that Scot's onto something there. But the other thing Sam said that I think is really true is I am starting to look for those categories that, you know, I've been in the business a while, and there were things that used to sell really well 25 and 30 years ago that don't anymore. And I'm starting to look at some of those old categories and say, those things that everybody is ignoring, that everybody has decided don't sell anymore. I just got
Not Avon bottles.
Not Avon bottles. They don't sell because they mass produce so many. I mean, they're great quality, but everybody kept them. If it's instant collectible, there will be a million of them in the future because no one gets rid of them, so they'll never be worth anything. But I just got a big collection of cut brilliant era crystal from the 1900 to 1920 period. And it's not selling for big money, but I've been told for years, that doesn't sell, that doesn't sell, that doesn't sell. I've already sold 10 pieces and I haven't really even tried. And what I did was I went to eBay and I looked and I saw what it's selling for now. And I priced it for what it's selling for now. And I'm selling it at shows and I'm selling it online and it's going. And I think some of these things, you know, I think everybody's looking for the next hot thing that is like, what is it that we've never thought of before? And I think in some ways, like Sam mentioned, elegant depression glass, some of these things that aren't hot, they have a collector following and they're cheap and new people can afford them. And that's where younger people are going to start collecting because it's what they can buy. So don't just stick to like trendy things. I think swung bases are down because everybody and their brother started buying swung bases thinking they're just going to go up and up and up and up and up and up. And I remember when Roseville Pottery, it was just going up and up and up and up and up. And then it wasn't anymore. You know, things get to a point where new collectors can't get in because it's too expensive and then the market stalls.
I don't know anything about this. Like, I'm horrible at predicting stuff. I'm not going to lie. I just buy stuff. I have no insight. And I'm not being facetious. I really don't. I'm horrible at trends and clothes, and that I just can't predict anything. And Wendy asked about, I'm going to show you guys the octopus I'm getting, but he's going to be purple. He's not going to be yellow. So this is the octopus. Let's see if I can get it to focus. This is the octopus that I am getting on my hand. But he will be purple. So you will see on the knuckles there are tentacles. So now when I punch you guys, you'll have octopus eyes in your face. All right. So that is, and that one's pretty 3D. When Dancer was asking, this artist is pretty amazing. Like the wave, I don't know if you can see the shark is pretty cool too with the shading. He's very, very good. I think I'm at like 20 hours into this arm already of time. And there will be, honestly, I hope not, but it might be 20 more. It's going to be a lot. Wendy, join the membership so I get to pray my turtle. Yay. Where did he go? There are so many. Here you go. Dun, 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 dun. Thank you, ma'am. We do have eBay store reviews next Thursday for you guys, so you know. We did live sourcing this past Saturday. We did live shipping on Monday, and the next event will be a week from Thursday. Will be eBay store reviews. All right. Ellen wants to know, how can someone purchase an item that you have as a promoted listing without buying it as a promoted listing? That's a very, very good question. And that does happen. And I honestly wish that happened all the time.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what happens when you promote a listing? That eBay will bump that up in the search rankings, but when it works properly, it's also in its regular place in the search listings. So wherever it would have naturally appeared organically, if they find it where it would have appeared and it wasn't promoted, then you wouldn't pay the promoted listing fee because that's not where they found it. And
Yes.
Is that correct? Is that way everybody understands
that's perfect. And what sucks is if they find it promoted, that link stays in their computer for 30 days. So if they come back and find it in an unpromoted, you're still going to pay. That's why you see so many that do go promoted. But yeah, I would prefer they find it not promoted all the time, but that doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't have anything else to say. It's the thing. They always find it promoted. I don't list enough on eBay. You know what I mean? I think if I was more consistent with eBay, people would discover me more on there and maybe would, go into my shop and see other things. But mostly if I sell something, it's promoted.
Yeah, just luck of the draw.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the luck goes in their way more times than not.
Yeah.
Trash Cat Rescue wants to know, what is your favorite self-care act?
I think most resellers are terrible at this. So I think we like our job so much that we forget. Honestly, for me right now, especially when winter shows up, I love walking outside. I cannot do it in the summer. I am like bug bait. But when the weather cools off and I can go outside, man, I love that. So self-care, as far as hobby goes, I like my wood shop and I like building stuff. So
Go ahead. You can answer that.
I love to walk outside as well. I walk inside when the weather isn't great, but I walk outside when the weather isn't great too. Personally, for me, I had both of my hips replaced about almost 2 years ago, and I was towards the end. I could barely walk. I mean, if you go back and you look at our early videos, I'm walking around with the cane. And it was very difficult for me. Sometimes I had to go wait in the car, and I really pushed myself to be out there doing something. So I never take it for granted, and I love to walk every single day almost. And
we incorporate, like, we love to thrift. So we do dating while we thrift. We have South Florida is the best for thrifting out of anywhere in Florida, because we've got Miami, red, white, and blue. We've got West Palm Beach. We've got American thrift stores. I never go to Goodwill's. It's only there. So we incorporate that into self-care. Like, that is so much fun for us. So we've turned work into
thrifting kind of is our self-care. And I love also going to the gym and exercising in the gym. And I justify it because I say I need to be strong enough to lift all these items that my wife purchases. So.
And foot massages. You got to do the 30-minute. They're $30 foot massages for an hour.
She got me into that. I never had one before I met her, but I will say I like it. I enjoy it.
Oh, I thought you were charging her for foot massages.
Oh, no. No, that's what I do. I like the way you think, though.
Melody, I need a new deal.
Yeah, this is a really good, really valid topic, and it's part of why I'm not doing a show in November. There is a point where you get out of balance and you're just so wound up in this because it really is fun, and especially if it's going well and you're selling a lot of stuff, and then you just want to do more and more and more. And I think some of the things that are good for self-care, even while you're doing it, for example, is think about what you're doing. It's really easy, for example, like I'm going to skip a meal and I just found out recently that I'm anemic. And so now I'm having to change my diet and eat more of things that are iron rich, because it's so easy to be like, well, I'm going to have chips and I'm going to do this because I'm busy working. And it's just easy to just, eat grains and candy for quick energy and whatever, the same stuff over time, So while you're actually sitting there doing your listings, if you're a snacker, think about what you're eating, think about what you're doing, take a break and take a walk. Don't be afraid. Oodalali Shop asked earlier she said, how much time do you devote?
I think I have hers coming up. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Go. I have it.
Yeah. And to me, that is sort of part and parcel to this. How much time do you spend on this and how much time do you allocate to other times? Because it's really easy. And I know people who've been doing this now for 4 or 5 years who are telling me, I'm hearing this a lot. Oh, I'm starting to get really burned out. Oh, I'm starting to really burn out on this because it's all that they've done. And they've gotten to this point where it's like too much. So just, you know, it's just like anything else in life. Try to find balance, whatever that is for you. If it's meditating, if it's walking, if it's having a different hobby that isn't about this, you know, just do stuff that takes you out of this long enough for you to appreciate and enjoy this again. Because it is really easy for our passion to overwhelm us.
Yeah, so for me, it's going to also be the gym. I don't know if you guys know, probably 8 or 9 months ago, I go to the gym 5 to 7 days a week. I go every single morning that I drop Dalton off. And then I actually like it so much, I go on the weekends too, sometimes 7 days a week, at random times on the weekend, depending on what I'm doing. So I actually have to make myself not go to the gym because I need to like take a break. So that for me, I think is probably my favorite. I absolutely love going to the gym and love working out. I'm down 50 pounds. And yeah, so the gym is, I tried to convince Sam, Adam, I tried. It didn't work.
But they came out with gluten-free Oreos.
But you can still go to the gym. I don't eat the best. George is like hitting home with like the eating, and like that's what I have to work on now is like eating better. I run to Publix to get the Oreos. Goodness gracious. All right. Horrible. So horrible. Picker Jim said, I had a message on eBay saying she did not get her package, and I sent a picture of it was delivered to a P.O. box, and I think she was going to contact the post office. I'm not sure how to handle it.
Did I freeze up?
Yeah, you're back now, though.
Okay. Let me read the question real quick. If it is marked as delivered, she needs to contact the post office, because on eBay, typically, if you can upload that tracking and it shows that it was delivered, you're going to be covered. I mean, you have to get it there, but once it gets there, then the responsibility is between them and their post office, their postal carrier.
Yeah, I would tell them they need to contact the post office. It was delivered. I mean, it's out of your control. If she didn't get it, but it was delivered to her house, they'd have to contact the post office. I usually do go a step. I do go above and beyond. Just because I don't want to lose customers, but I'll try to call the post office myself. But I mean, it's a long process. You have to start a case and everything. So sometimes I just get so tired of it and I will refund it, but it rarely happens to me. If it happens to the same person, then there's a pattern, right? If the person keeps saying that they're not receiving items, if it's just like a one-time deal.
They track that. No, they track that for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and if you're saying that you have a picture of it delivered to the P.O. box and it's the P.O. box that they had you ship it to, then you're golden, because if you have the picture, you must have gotten it from the post office. The post office must have shown it, or Amazon, or whoever you sent it through. I just don't think there's going to be an issue. I don't think you really have to handle it. You just refer them, if she's going to contact the post office, that's perfect. That's the next step.
Yeah, the big thing would be if they open an item not received case, you have to update the tracking. Even though eBay has it, you have to hit update tracking. It'll pull it in automatically and you submit it. Otherwise, you could lose the case if they open a case. That's it. Like, that really doesn't make sense to me when eBay automatically has it and knows the dang thing's been delivered. That drives me up the wall that they don't just automatically pull it in and be like, hey, this was delivered. Like, now it's your issue. And you'll win it as long as it shows delivered. I do not go above and beyond. I will tell them, please contact your post office, please contact your neighbors, contact your postal carrier. But once it has left my hands, it shows delivered, my responsibility ends there as far as I'm concerned. Like, I can't control their porch pirates.
Well, what I've done, I'm sorry, George. What I'd recommend to anybody who's doing it, I think I've even posted it before, is I typed up everything that I say, because that comes up regularly, and I copy and paste the same exact thing, tell them the sooner they talk to their postal carrier, the better chances they'll remember. And it's a very nice note, but it tells them that here's what you need to do, and that's it. Sorry, George.
Yeah, no. That was good. Yeah. And I just was going to add in that I did have someone recently who it showed delivered, USPS showed it delivered. She said, I absolutely didn't get it. And I said, I know this is crazy, but go talk to your neighbors that have a similar address. And sure enough, it was delivered to the neighbor across the street.
Yeah. Yeah. I had one that like went off on me, that I sent her an empty box. I told this story, I think like a month ago. This lady like went off on me. How dare you send me an empty box, blah, blah, blah. I mean, she like went off. And then like 5 minutes later, she says, I'm sorry, my husband was talking about a different box. Because she sent me pictures. I'm like, that is not my box, lady. Like, I don't use that kind of box. Like, I know my box.
You know that she also went off on her husband.
I hope, because she went off on me. So the box was there and everything was in it. Yeah. All right. Sarah sells smalls by the seashore. She's really not by the seashore. I just like saying that. Has anyone had someone buy something internationally and eBay wouldn't let you ship it to their hub? I had a purchase from Scotland and I had to put it straight through USPS.
I saw when she posted this question, and I am super curious. If you would shoot me a note on Instagram, I'd love to know how this plays out and what the details were. I've never heard that, because I don't know how you would even get paid for. I'm not sure. That is super awful. It sounds awful, but I know that's never happened to me.
Me neither.
Yeah, no, I've never had that experience.
I have not either. And I would think if they didn't allow it, I would worry that it's illegal to be shipped internationally. And I would worry that my package would get seized at customs, honestly. Like if they said I couldn't send it, I would want to know why. You know, like that to me sounds like something like that. Miss Lisa sent a $5 super chat and said, thank you all for sharing your knowledge. She just shipped baby Jesus by USPS, and then Mary and Joseph had to go by UPS to Alabama, but they will reunite. They will reunite in Alabama. They had to ship separately. Lisa has to get the beach super chat, and I haven't showed this one tonight, so here you go.
Sweet boy. Aw.
I will say one thing real quickly about that with Beachwalker. I just went through a similar thing with Georgia, and one of the boxes hasn't arrived, and it's 2 parts of a lamp, and it's several $100s.
You broke up Jesus and Mary and Joseph. Now they might not reunite.
Yeah, so they sent one way and one another way. I have had a lot of trouble shipping specifically to Alabama and Georgia. More than
you think it's after Helene? Like after Helene, you think it's that?
This has been going on for over a year.
Oh, interesting.
I've had 2 or 3 problems, and it's always the Atlanta area.
The Atlanta hub is backed up. Somebody asked me that was in Atlanta to ship via UPS because they said the Atlanta post office was backed up by like 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe it'll get to her. I hope. She's a regular customer, so she said she'll pay me, but I felt like I had to refund the money in the meantime because
I probably would too.
And she got the first piece right away, and the second piece they're like, we don't know. And I had one where I sent there, and even though it said GA, they sent it to Guam, and it took 4 months to get back to Georgia.
That's great.
So yeah, there's certain places that are harder than others.
All right, this is a weird question. She said it's a weird question. I'm telling you all it's a weird question. What would you do if after smelling 4 different perfume bottles, your vision got blurry? One, would you smell them again? 2, would you not sell any? 3, would you ask your local canine handler to investigate? She says don't ask. We have to ask. You're asking us the question. We have to ask. So tell her, what would you do?
Well, phew. I did it, and I used to have a full head of hair, and it was a second whiff and it just fell out. I don't think I'd go back for a second sniff. I think I would. I don't know.
Well, I live in South Florida, so fentanyl is the first thing coming up in my head. So I'd probably call the popos. Right?
She'd make me smell it first 4 times to make sure, and then she would probably
call the popos.
Authorities.
Yeah. That's funny. Seriously though, we had an estate sale in Seattle once, and the woman was obsessed with perfume. She went every week for 5 years to Nordstrom's, and she bought herself a new bottle every week, and there were thousands of bottles of perfume in this house. It was a great sale, but we had to put up a sign saying, do not test inside. We made people go outside with it. And honestly, I mean, this sounds like a real thing that could happen. So, off in the air, outdoors, ventilate, maybe take a break between those, because it really, you can toxify yourself on some of this stuff. I mean, let's face it, it's that's a lot to absorb. So I would say intersperse, don't test them all at once.
It's a lot to absorb, no pun intended.
Exactly.
I would. Were they vintage? Were they really stinky? Like, some vintage perfume is horrible.
Do you have Narcan handy? I mean, there's a lot of different answers.
I mean,
back me here, Kat. You're from
some
Florida.
counties in Florida give away Narcan for free, just in case you didn't know. They do.
It's true.
It is very true. Scott, was that your cha-ching they want to know?
It was.
Oh, right. Congrats on
Of course,
sold
it's his name.
All of this stuff that we've been selling the last few days is out of that storage locker, and it's just been insane. It's been the craziest storage locker ever. So yeah, it's just a pair of shoes.
All right. So would I smell them again? No. I wouldn't want my vision to get blurry. Would I not sell any? That's a hard question. Because, like, is it just stinky vintage perfume that's like, or is it really dangerous? I don't think I would ask my local canine handler. I think what I would do, I'm going to tell you the truth. I would separate the 4 bottles, right?
And then use it like that.
I would smell them. I would smell them one at a time, so I could figure out which one was causing the issue, and then I would throw that one away. That's what I would do.
Yeah. And I see Marie Paralette has a good comment there. They do have alcohol, and for some people,
they are mostly alcohol.
Yeah. So for some people, it may not be the product that you should be selling.
Marcia says, as a former canine handler, they would laugh at you. So please do not do that. Okay. So Fern says, when she does a comp on Google Lens and then add in eBay, the prices are so much higher on Google than eBay prices. Do we have any explanation for that?
Well, I think Google is going to pull in a lot of different sources, and some of those sources, they're going to pull in
Ruby Lane, Cherish.
Cherish, and what's that other one? I'm drawing a blank on it, but
First Dibs
from a lot of other places. Really, to me, it doesn't matter.
Yes.
First, that's what I was thinking. But if I sell on eBay, it's going to be those comps that I'm interested in. If I put First Dibs prices on it, I get to keep it. So I'm not a collector. I want this stuff gone.
So I'm hoping that I'm actually seeing District come up now, which is so nice.
Oh, that's encouraging. That's great.
Yeah, it's really great. And actually on Coffee Chat this morning, Jocelyn was talking about how we're showing up on Google. And that's true. I actually made a sale from someone outside of knickknacks that came in. But anyway, so what was the question? Okay, yeah. So I've learned something that you can't trust the Google Lens 100% because sometimes even if you click on, let's say, like Scott said for eBay, right? I usually use eBay, comps or Etsy comps since I sell on Etsy. And those are my two reliable sources. But I noticed something. Sometimes when I click on that, I look at it and then you click on it, it's like a whole different number. So
it's a different item too sometimes.
Right, it's a different item. So guess what? I caved and went ahead and subscribed to WorthPoint. I fought everybody on this, but WorthPoint to me.
You better have used my link, buddy.
Oh, I used Jocelyn's. Wah, wah, wah.
Okay. I'm going to put your turtle outside when you come next week.
I'm not liking Vendu so much, so I might switch to List Perfectly, and I believe you have a link to that, right? So I can use your link to that. But, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. No, but, yeah, WorthPoint, I think, personally, is a crucial, a very necessary thing, I think, if you're going to look up comps a lot. $29.99 a month.
One caveat about WorthPoint, though. If they take, because this happened to me, I had a Fenton piece that it ultimately sold for $800. The first time I ran it, it was at $800, and then the last 20 minutes it went to $1,800, and everybody who saw it was sending me congratulations. Isn't this amazing? And I said, nope, I'm not going to get paid for it. It's somebody in China who's making sure, with one feedback, who's making sure that their buddy doesn't get it or wants to push the price of theirs up. So, okay, I didn't get paid. I reran it. It sold for $800. When you go to completed sales on eBay, it shows, even though they canceled the bid, it still shows as a completed sale, and it now shows on WorthPoint as a completed sale for $1,800. It never happened. And that is something that you have to be aware of.
Never completed. Yeah.
Never completed. So make sure you're looking at completed sales. And if you are looking at a source, especially if something you're like, wow, that's eye-poppingly high.
And if that's the only one that's high, like you want to make sure you look at the overall picture. You want to look at the dates. Like if you with George's example, like say they were a week apart, right? Or 2 weeks. If you did like oldest to newest, they would be side by side and you would see that those are the same photos and the same item. So that should give you pause to look and be like, wait, this one's $1,000 higher. And if you see the rest of them are closer to the lower, than that. But yeah, Google Lens is going to pop up those higher dollar. They're paying more advertising on Google, like First Dibs, Cherish, the ones. And I mean, you could list on there. I don't list on those platforms. I probably should with some of my items. I agree with everybody. You need a comp where you're selling. If you're selling on Etsy, look at what it's selling for on Etsy. If you're selling on eBay. If you're selling on Cherish, look at Cherish. It might be ridiculously high,
But you might get it if that's your market.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
you need to look at where you're selling. That's what's super important.
Cool. Thanks.
Okay, Picker Gyms. I'm using Instagram. Should I post something every day?
Are you talking about trying to grow your channel, or are you trying to sell on Instagram? I don't know the first thing about growing on Instagram, like at all.
Oh, I know what she's talking about. Well, because you can have an Instagram shop, but if you do something I never did before, I am now doing claims directly on my post. So, like, is that what you mean?
The magic posts?
No, I just put like, hey, look what I got. If you would like it, this is my price.
She said,
claim. You can claim it, or you can buy it on Knickknacks. I'll say something like that, or email me. But
they said grow. They're talking about growing on there.
Oh, growing?
Following.
Oh,
so
okay.
let me. I think I have some experience with this. I think I have a little over 14,000 on there, but it has changed. When my account grew to 14,000, nobody was doing videos. So I would post a picture and say something stupid, and lots of people followed me. But my growth on Instagram has really tailed off because I'm not doing reels. And so if you want to grow on Instagram, you need to do reels. That's my opinion.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I did the same, and that's exactly what happened. And I haven't done reels, and it just sort of petered out. And you know, again, posting, why are you posting? Are you selling because you can now? Or are you just promoting and saying, hey, I'm selling somewhere else and check it out? And like Sam said, you know, you can claim it by the way if you see it, that kind of thing. So it just really depends on how you're using it. But absolutely, yeah, the reels are the way to go if you're going to do it. Instagram for a little while was really encouraging people and actually paying for us to list content. And as soon as we all did, then they stopped, and I stopped too.
Yeah, I did as well, doing it that much once they stopped that about a year and a half ago. I would say, yeah, I think posting every day is not going to hurt. We post every day. Brooke makes a content calendar every month, and we decide what we're going to post about. And we do a mix of personal as well as our affiliate stuff. And I think the main thing with Instagram, besides Reels obviously is going to help, is that you need to have pertinent hashtags. So you can see when you hashtag, you can see how many posts that has. And you can see if it has 1 million posts or does it have 100,000 posts. Like I hashtag the nurse flipper on every single post. When Dalton's in something, we hashtag little boss. And I have keywords in my notepad on my phone that I use frequently, like reselling, eBay seller, YouTuber, blah, 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 blah. You can keep those in a notepad. And whenever you are doing a post, you can just post it. Instagram does not pay anymore for content. They stopped a year and a half ago. But like if you're selling stuff, I wish I was better. Dagny is one of the ones I have seen be consistent. Jocelyn also does as far as posting for knickknacks. And is there a video for this? I'm sure there is by somebody. I don't know that any of us have one, but I'm sure there is a video on growing your Instagram. There are probably, you know, free courses and things like that as well, depending on where you want to go with it. Are you growing it to sell? Or are you growing it for the following, which really is to grow to sell? Yeah. So yes, there's a video somewhere. I just don't know by who. All right. My good friend, Udalali, how many hours a week do you devote to reselling?
You know, much less now that I do YouTube. I'm an exceptionally slow editor, so for me to put out a video, I probably spend, for every video, I'm probably spending 20 or 30 hours. So I would say that reselling, I'm probably spending 20 or 30 hours.
I'm in my first 5 years of starting the business. I believe in working almost every waking hour to grow in your first 5 years. And this is true for me. And I devote almost every hour that I'm awake to
a lot
reselling.
of our life, like the things that we would do for fun on the side, like we used to have, just for example, like Universal Studios passes. We live down here in Florida, and we don't renew those because we devote like whatever free time we would have to do a vacation like that to drive up. We'd rather go sourcing or something, work on the business, visit our booth, things like that. So we just really restructured our life around the business.
When I'm not like posting or, you know, because one item can take you like 40 minutes, right? Because you have to clean the item, you have to research the item, you have to list it, you have to take pictures of it. So that when I'm not doing that, I'm making myself relevant on social media on almost every platform 4 or 5 times a day, because I believe in, you know, don't get out of people's head. Like, don't let time go by where people forget who you are. Put yourself out there all the time. So
And she did that with me when we were dating. She made sure to stay in my relevant in my mind. You know,
it works.
It worked.
So I think my tip actually goes along with the last question about growing your channel. I do have about 12,000 followers on Instagram. And I think I just never let people forget me. When I do vintage markets, I have signs. I tell buyers or people just browsing about us. So everything I do surrounds my business. So it seems like every waking hour.
She's not lying.
I think it can consume every waking hour, and that gets back to those questions about self-care and all those other things. You know, and it also depends on what do you consider reselling. For me, I do a couple of YouTube videos a week, and that probably is 20 hours. And by the time you do all the follow-up and everything, and then I spend at least that much probably every week. So it's a full-time job, and it can certainly be a full-time job plus. And at one time I was doing like Sam, and I was just doing it, hitting it really, really hard and doing it all the time. And actually, lots of 50 and 60 hour weeks too. I think the good thing about this, before we scare everybody off, is that this is scalable. You can do it to the level that works for you. And, if you want to go full time like Kat and Sam have, and you want this to be what you do, then yeah, you treat it like a full-time job, and you have to make sure you're doing 40 hours a week like you would at a full-time job. If you want to do it as a retirement business, then you can do it as a part-time job. If you just want to do it for some extra money, or to save up for a certain thing, or just keep your hand in it because you think it's interesting, I know people who they just do a handful of listings and they're happy with what they get. And so you can make it as small or as big as you want. And of course, reselling spans a whole lot of things too beyond. For me, I mean, I do real world shows, and I do real world mall spaces, and I do online stuff. And so it can mean a lot of different things. And do you consider the time you spend sourcing part of your reselling? Well, you got to have merchandise, so that is part of your time. So like Sam is saying, you start building it into your life. You do what I did when I first started, because I had a regular job, is I would go to the thrift store on the way home every day, and I got merchandise, and then I started to pick for other people, and I would resell to resellers, and I would take wholesale because I was getting it thrift store prices, and that was how I got started. And then I decided I wanted to do for myself and became a dealer, and the rest is history. And now I work way too hard, but it's fun. And, so it's just whatever you really want it to be and what works for you. But if you want to make it a go and have it be a serious livelihood, then you've got to treat it like you would anything else you did for a serious livelihood.
Yeah, so for me, I would want to know, do you consider my YouTube my reselling? Because really my YouTube isn't my reselling, but it's directly correlated to my reselling. And so I record thrifting videos, which makes me source slower because I'm recording. So I'm not going to turn as fast, and I'm not going to look at things as fast. So YouTube and reselling, I think for all of us, at least that are on the panel, is very interwoven. And it's kind of hard to differentiate between it. So your typical reselling person, and I know you do videos too, is I also, but with me, I have employees. I have a full, 40-hour a week employee that's listing and shipping and photographing, that I'm paying for that. And for me though, I'm still spending a good 40 hours.
Did you say 40-hour a week employee or a 46-hour a week employee? I misunderstood.
A lot.
Oh, don't get her started.
A lot. I know. We're so many hours. It's crazy. We're so busy. It's so crazy. All right. Let's see. What else? Oh, George, what is the best platform for selling antiques besides eBay?
Ooh, okay. Well, again, that really depends on your temperament and what you like. We had someone earlier ask about live selling, and Knickknack seems to be doing very well. I think Vamp is still growing. There's other places on District that are selling well. If you're selling certain types of things, or if you like to style, I still keep hearing that Etsy is the place if you really like styling things and showing them that, and that you can still get a premium for things. So the best platform has as much to do with what you're doing. For me, my platforms that I sell on besides eBay, I do old-time antique shows, and that is not an online platform, but I can sell, and people are like, oh, it's so much work, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll spend 4 to 6 hours setting up a show and maybe 4 hours taking it down, and that's a whole day, and then there's 2 or 3 days at a show. But I'll sell 150 items, and I don't have to list them, pack them, ship them. I put them in a bag, they give me money, and we say thank you, and there's no follow-up. I don't have to worry about the post office. So that for me is a good platform. Some people like real world selling in antique malls because they like doing displays and they're good at that, or they want to sell things that are hard to ship or big. And so, really the best platform is really up to what suits you and your lifestyle and what options you have. Kat lives in a place where there's not real world selling close by. So
not good real world selling.
Not good, yeah. So that's not the way to go for her. Some people, they just want to be able to do it all online because they want to be able to pick it up and put it down when they want, and that gives them that freedom. And I know some people who do really well on Poshmark because they're really into that category that sells there. So it really is up to. The best platform is the platform that you enjoy doing, that you will work, that makes sense to you and sells the product that you have to sell.
All right. Last question. Do you see, this is an interesting question. Do you see anything missing in the reselling YouTube space?
God, what a great question.
That's
when
$1 million question.
Yeah, when I was thinking about doing YouTube, I honestly didn't think I had anything to offer. And so I literally held off for years from making any kind of a channel because I liked some of the people that were already using YouTube and they were already teaching. And I thought, that I don't know why anybody would watch me give my version of it. And I have people that watch the videos. So my answer to that would be that probably what's missing is you. If you're interested in doing this, then you should do it. I would say that for me, it isn't it's not monetized well enough to make up for the time that I don't spend doing eBay. I kill it on eBay when I'm doing eBay. I took a cut in pay to do YouTube, but I genuinely enjoy feeling like I get to teach again. So probably what's missing, if you're asking yourself that question, is you, and because nobody else is doing that.
I mean, I'm not mentioning channels, and this is not supposed to be like a mean-spirited comment, but I think what's missing is, it's not really what's missing. Okay, there's some channels that I've watched, because mind you, before I was a YouTuber, I was watching people like Kat, Jocelyn, Lavender Clothesline, Laura Caldwell, and these were people, like, I'm smart enough to know when, George, I was watching George, I'm smart enough to know when people are telling me are really honest and it's not just they're doing YouTube to monetize. And then I know there are channels where I'm watching, and now that I'm a seasoned reseller and I know what to pick up and I know I'm doing pretty well, that I just, like, I'm watching it sometimes and I'll be like, that's not true. Like, that's not true. That's not true. And I'm afraid that there's misinformation on things. And I don't like the question, what's selling? I get that question a lot when I'm thrifting. People look at my cart because it's what's selling for you that I always say. What is selling for you? So I like to watch channels that will give you that, like, that encouragement, like what's going to sell for you and tell you the truth. Whereas there's other channels, without mentioning any, and you'll know which ones, well, you might not know, but you'll know which ones I like. You hear me talk about them often. But I just wish that there was some way to, like comps, right? When you put comps up, you should put what's sold, not what's selling, because you could put $1 million to a paperclip and it will never sell. So I just wish that I hope that people watch the right channels to learn this stuff for real, because I'm afraid of people getting into a rut financially. You know what I mean?
Well, and some things just won't sell for some people.
Right.
Like, I sell handkerchiefs all day long at $15, and some of my followers can't sell them. I watch channels selling ties. I tried to sell them. I couldn't. I watched somebody selling puzzles. I got the same puzzles. I
Right.
couldn't sell them. It's really strange. You could have the same friggin' thing I have, and for whatever reason, whether it's my photos, it's my title, I don't know what it is. I might be able to sell it and you can't. So my advice would be to get just a few of those things. Don't go buy 100, and see if you can sell that thing. Because not everybody can sell. Like Sam can sell stuff I can't sell. I can sell stuff Sam can't sell. Especially when it comes to live selling, we're talking to you. We're making you like that item. And if I love it, I can make you love it. But if I don't love it, I'll be like, oh, you want to buy this brush? Like, I don't care about the brush. But if you throw like one of my Kachina dolls in front of me, I love them. So people hear that in your voice that you love, if you love what you're selling. So I think that's important. Sorry, George.
No, that's great. I think that's so true. I think what can be missing sometimes is passion. I think sometimes what's missing is honest representation. I think both of those are really good points. And I think what Scott said is absolutely right. What's also missing is your voice, your perspective. If you think you want to do this, give it a try, because you do have a different way of looking at things. But the other thing I will say, I'm going to take this a little more literally. The thing I see missing in the reselling YouTube space, and it's going to be something that somebody's going to have to understand, love, want to do. But in terms of antiques and vintage, what I see missing is the same thing that for a long time I saw missing in real world antiquing also, which is vintage and antique things that are, without being too stereotyped about this, male oriented. I see people talking glass and housewares and pretty things. And I have a person who
like primitives.
Yeah. I have a person who comments pretty frequently who's like, really, more glass? And I know what they're saying is, I like other things. I'd like to see other things. I'd like to see people doing other things, but they're smaller niches. They're not instant riches. They're not instant success. You have to build that market. If somebody was out there with fishing lures and duck decoys and old sporting goods who had that sort of thing, and they were teaching people and getting them interested, it's going to be a small niche, but you're going to have devoted people who really love that thing. And right now, that's what I see missing in the YouTube space, is I feel like it's really focused so much on decorative housewares and decorate my house. And that's all cool, but there's a whole lot of other categories that are really not represented yet. And so there is opportunity, but it might not be that you're going to be an overnight success. You probably have to invest some time in that.
And I think to be successful at this for the majority of people, you do have to invest that time. Like, you can look at us and look at our subscriber count, but also look at, like, I've been doing this for 5 years. I've made thousands of videos. It was not like overnight this happened. I will tell you, my channel blew up overnight over one video. that was pretty overnight and kind of shocking. But I mean, it took me years till that one video, I got lucky, it hit, and then my channel grew. And I would say, like most people, I feel like you're going to model somebody that you watch and you like. That's what I did when I started. I was modeling my favorite people that I watched. And then I think you have to learn eventually that you kind of break out of that and become your own person. And you might pull stuff from multiple people that you watch and make your own style. You have to be authentic. You have to be yourself. You have to really believe in what you're doing, because people can tell if you're fake. You know, and you're not going to grow if people know that you're not being genuine. I am very blunt. I'm very honest. Some people might not like that. Do not ask me a question if you do not want the answer, because I will tell you. And as I think George made a really, really good point. I personally, like, as far as what I'm watching, I don't really see anything, because there's so many reselling channels. It's absolutely insane how many reselling channels there are. There are ones with like 50,000 subscribers that I've never heard of, you know, and it's just crazy. And, you know, they haven't heard of me. And I think the key is, like I said, you're probably going to start off modeling somebody, because that's what we do, right? We model. But you have to break out of that and find your footing. So for me, and I see, yeah, the teacups video is what blew my channel up. And if you would have told me that, I would have told you you were absolutely crazy. And I don't care. I don't care what it was. But with that video blowing up, I had that one and a necklace one over 500,000 views. What I learned from that, and what I think all YouTube content creators should learn, is look at your videos that are performing the best, and that's what you need to do more of. But I still love doing my what solds, and I'm not leaving like my roots, because that's what I like. Even though I know my research videos are probably going to get more views, I still want to teach. So at some point, you have to decide a good compromising medium of what you like to do and what your viewers like to watch, that you like too. If it was one you did and you hated doing it, then what are you going to do? Make all these videos that you hate? No, because that would suck and people would see right through it eventually. That made no sense. Right through it eventually.
We got it.
But people are going to know if you don't like what you're doing. And I love the research videos. I learn, I get to share it with you, you learn. So for me, that was like that was a win-win. It was viewed very well. It was, I think, my second or third one I did, and I just have run with it. I still do them to this day, 2 years later. And it's fun because I'm learning and you're learning. But yeah, so I don't know. Besides, George brought up a good point, but besides that, for me, I don't know that I see anything missing because there are so many. But I agree with Scott, like your perspective and how you do it is going to be completely different from anybody else. So start modeling, but come into your own as quickly as you can. And we all are eventually, we're all changing, and we're, you should be evolving. Your business is evolving. You as a person are evolving. Your life is evolving, and you're going to change. And you got to continually be yourself. I think full transparency with any of this, like Sam saying the misinformation, I show the back door of my eBay on every what sold video. I show you my back door. These are my sales. I'm not blowing smoke up your butt. Like, I'm telling you the truth. And, yeah, that's just, yeah. Yes, we are on tonight, and I'm on every election night because it's always a Tuesday. So for the last 4 years, I've been on election night every single one. All right, that was the last question. I'm going to make everybody big. I talked way too long, and we're on late. So here, everybody can tell you what they've got going on and where to find them, especially George, because we know he's all over the place. So here is Scott.
If you watched my the video before last where I bought a storage crate, if you watched that one, it was insane. We pulled out all of this new stuff. I'm editing a video that'll come out later this week. We bought a storage locker from a different company in a different city that ended at a different time. Same guy. And so it's absolutely insane. And we didn't know it until we were looking and we tied some things together. So that video will be coming out, and it did not disappoint. So wait for that one. It'll be worth it.
Perfect. Here is Sam and Adam.
First, Scott, I want to let you know I just subscribed to your channel.
Yay.
And I just kind of jotted down a couple of things I want to tell you guys. If you're ever, there was a question about where to source in Central Florida. About an hour south and east, there's Melbourne, Florida. And we have antique booth number 46 and America's Antique Mall. And that's a huge antique mall, and it's really well priced. And we're over there. So if you want to pick up any of our actual items, you can't miss it. We have a big Jolie Flips Vintage sign. And then we will start selling live on YouTube starting December 6th from 9 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. every Friday. We're going to give it a try. Probably go slow at first, but we're going to give it a try. And there's details in the community on how it's on the community board and how we're going to do that. You could also always email me at jolieflips@aol.com, and I will help you with that. We are on Knickknacks randomly, but almost like 3 or 4 times a week. I don't have a set schedule therefore, but I like to do a vintage variety, which is fun because you never know what you're going to see next. And then I have some curated shows. I have a pottery show coming up soon. I forget the date. Also, around the time where it's a little chillier, never in the summer, we do a vintage market where you can come and meet us at the Kelsey Vintage Goods in Lake Park, Florida. That's Palm Beach County. Every third Saturday of every month. The best thing to do is follow us on Instagram because we post most of all of our information on there, as well as the YouTube community board and Facebook as well.
Perfect. Is that everything?
Yeah.
Okay, here's George.
Wow, I thought I was an overachiever. So I am mainly going to be doing my regular Monday and Wednesday premieres on YouTube on the Antique Nomad. I hope to do a little bit of live content as well. Hopefully from here in Mexico. We went to the Mercado and I decided to cover up the corporate logo with this big old 70s pin that we got yesterday. Because that was fun. So hopefully we'll show some fun things from here. But in the meantime, I will be doing my regular eBay listing videos as well. The next 3 months is going to be a combination of ephemera and a book club. We're going to sell a bunch of vintage books, so that should be fun. So I will be continuing to do that. I will be here on YouTube. I'm not doing any shows in November like I usually do. And I don't ever do shows in December anymore. So you'll see me on the show circuit again in January, probably in January in Florida. And definitely I'll be at the big Renegers in February in Mount Dora, as well as the big West Palm Beach show. So I've got those coming up. But that's basically what I have in store for the time being.
Perfect. All right. I want to thank all four of my guests in their 3 squares for coming on. I really appreciate it. It's like Hollywood squares. Next week, we're going to have Justin Resells and Catherine Young. So that should be a good show. Rod will be back next week. I might put out my thrifting video tonight. It's uploaded, but I haven't made the thumbnail and all. So it might be tomorrow, but I have one edited and uploaded. And then tomorrow I am doing pillowcases, just pillowcases worth like $75+ for single pillowcases. They go up to hundreds of dollars. And then on Friday, this was a fun one for me. And I've done a few like keyword type, but I've never done one like this. I did one on nautical items because I love the sea and I love the ocean. So it's a lot of stuff with ships that I'm not familiar with. So I really learned a lot by doing that research video. A lot. And we're talking like thousands of dollars for these items. And I know Scott has found one of them. I might have mentioned him. Maybe. I can't remember. Your diving helmet is one of the things that like came up in that. So just like random nautical things that you might just walk by that are worth thousands and thousands of dollars, that are worth paying hundreds of dollars for. So that is what I've got coming up. I really am hoping either this week or next, and I keep saying this and I know it, but I really mean it this time, to get back on with live sales. I do have all my jewelry organized. I have trash bags full of vintage linens. So Shannon has been organizing the shed and she just keeps bringing in bags of linens. And I'm like, they're not listed. She's like, no. And I'm like, okay. So there are trash bags full of linens. There's tons of jewelry. So those are going to be probably the 2 main things that we'll be doing. I know I have some ephemera and Victorian trading cards, which I love as well. So that stuff I got all for Whatnot. So keep an eye out. I'll try and post it up on Instagram and on my YouTube to let you guys know when I'm doing it. With Brooke helping me, I just have to remember to tell Brooke what I'm doing. Like this morning, I was like, oh, I'm going live. And she's like, oh, like, so I didn't tell her so she could advertise it. I'm just like, I'm going out of the shed and I'm going live. So yeah, I appreciate you guys. And again, thank you to the guests. Hopefully Rod had a great night out with his wife and enjoyed his night off. And we will see you guys next week. Bye, guys.